we welcome in Eric Diton, President, Managing Director, Wealth Alliance. Thank you so much for being here. Some of your thoughts on the market. We think about, I'm glad you're here because what a week it has been, and you're seeing certain sectors jumping, certain sectors pulling back. What did you make of a week like this week? Does it bring opportunity for folks?
Well, first off, this is the worst week we've had in a long time, going back to September 24. So there's some real damage in here, and whenever there's damage, there's always opportunity. You got to watch tech, right? You've got to watch big tech. You've got to watch that Mag 7. Nvidia earnings came out great. They beat all expectation. Nvidia got crushed. And so it's telling you that when stocks have made those kind of profound moves, even a beat may not be beat enough. And that's what happened. They beat, but by less. And people are kind of tired of hearing Nvidia say everything is great. They want to hear customers. They want to hear Amazon and Google, Microsoft say they're going to spend boatloads of money. DeepSeek, no matter anyone says, it definitely put just a little chink in the armor. And when stocks have made those kind of moves, and all of a sudden you have a question mark, is the growth going to continue as planned? That's a lookout below. So we're having this pullback, and look, you've got to own big tech, but you don't have to have 35% of your money in 7 stocks like the S&P. You shouldn't. You got to be more widely diversified.
Right.
So we're not jumping into tech right here. I mean, we own it. We're staying with it, but we're not overweight to the extent that the S&P is, and nearly as narrow. One of the
even with the sell-off. Sorry, I'm going to jump in because even with the sell-off this week, right? I mean, you noted the Nvidia earnings, and I was saying much of the same. If you looked at the Mag 7 up to this point, even if they had in line or pretty good, they mostly sold off. It's not like they took off, right? And for example, Nvidia this week is down 10%. Palantir this week is down 18%. But it's still not yet the time to say I'm buying and loading up on tech, right?
Yeah, I mean, look at the valuation on Palantir. I remember reading the data and just thinking, this is insane. Great company, but what's it worth? I mean, Mercedes is a great car, but would you pay $5 million for one? What's it worth? So I think these things got ahead of themselves.
Right. So what would you buy today and say, listen, seems like it's good value?
Well, look, the one free lunch in investing is diversification. You want to find assets that don't do the same thing at the same time, that have low correlation. And as we know, the Mag 7, this narrow area of the market, has led the market. The S&P returns more than 50%, 2023-24 from 7 stocks. Ridiculous. So look outside the Mag 7. Plenty of stocks in the U.S., reasonably priced value stocks, small cap stocks. And look what's happening, Nicole. International and emerging markets outperforming year to date. Is anything so great happening there? They're just getting so cheap that you've got to get in there. When did that happen last? When the tech bubble popped. 2000, 2010. What did great? Remember BRIC? Does anyone remember BRIC, the emerging markets? Emerging markets had a fabulous decade while the U.S. did nothing. And that may happen again. The value areas of the world may start outperforming.
How about, when you look at the whole year ahead, and I love how you wrote in your notes, more tariffs, but who's counting, right? We're going to have tariffs on March 4th. We're going to have tariffs on April 2nd. More tariffs are coming, and we know that to be true. Do you think, I've heard the narrative that the S&P will still be higher by the end of the year, 6,500. I mean, first they looked to 6,100, then 6,500, 7,000. Do you think the S&P will be higher at the end of the year?
I'm not so sure. I actually would bet more on the equally weighted S&P than the market cap weighted S&P. Like I said, the unloved areas of the market are compelling, and I think they might actually outperform. So I'd rather be there.
Right, understood. I mean, I know there's other areas, automotives, consumer discretionary, consumer goods. If you were naming some names or naming some groups there that you think could work, what would they be?
Well, actually, the consumer discretionary was an area that we are wary of because if you talk about real vulnerability to tariffs, that's it. I mean, if you want to talk about the autos, tariffs bring higher production costs, right? We've got steel and aluminum tariffs. You're talking about higher prices that are going to have to be passed off. It's going to make them less competitive. Can disrupt the whole supply chain. You may switch where you're getting certain parts and go somewhere else because of tariffs. And then you've got retaliatory tariffs.
Yeah.
And so it really muddies the water. So that's not where I want to be. I like energy, great dividends, reasonable PEs, drill, baby, drill. We are going to be exporting more and more natural gas. That's unstoppable. It's a cleaner fuel. I love MLPs. I love energy MLPs. Still great income, great dividends. Most of the income is not taxed. It's return to capital or lowers your cost basis. Very tax efficient. Those are areas that make sense. But like I said, you've got to just think outside the box a little. Diversification hasn't worked, but at some point it does, and I think it's now.
Yeah, it's interesting. So energy, MLP. So that's one area you definitely do like. It makes sense with some of the CD, right? Consumer discretionary and automotives and the taxes and tariffs that will come and how prices could go up on that. If you were to give me one other sector that might work for you, what would that be?
Well, I think you want to look outside the United States now because, I mean, there are plenty of stocks you can buy in Europe trading at single digit or low digit PEs, low double digit, that are great companies. Emerging markets even more compelling in terms of valuation, and small caps as well selectively. So I think you've got to just look a little bit outside the borders here.
Right. Understood. All right. Eric Diton, President, Managing Director, Wealth Alliance. Thank you so much. Good to see you, Eric.